Read the title of this Wall Street Journal article. Americans are still spending money like there's no tomorrow. Concerts, trips, and designer handbags are taking priority over saving for a home or a rainy day. This article is interesting, and the reason why it's interesting is because it goes against what pretty much every economist has been talking about for the last year and a half, which could signal some potential red flags coming in the economy. But everybody has been talking about how consumer spending will be slowing down by the end of 2023. Why would consumer spending start slowing down? Well, because of the higher interest rates, because of student loans, because of the high inflation. However, the tough part that a lot of people have been having to face now is, okay, the cost of living is rising. I'm not making enough money to continue living this lifestyle. Do I make lifestyle cuts? Or do I go deeper into debt and make financial sacrifices that way I can still have the nice stuff today? And what this Wall Street Journal article tells us is that still today, Americans are saying, you know what? Screw saving, screw investing, let me keep spending my money. And what this article essentially says is that could be a bigger problem in the future. Take a look. It starts off by saying that consumers should be spending less money by now. Interest rates are up, inflation is high, pandemic savings has shrunk, and the labor market is cooling, yet household spending remains robust. Now, if you've been following my channel, you understand that our economic system runs on spending. The more money you spend, the more money somebody else makes. And so when people spend money, that's good for the economy. When you go into debt to spend money on airline tickets, that's good for the economy, that's good for the airline companies. When you dig into your retirement savings, or you pull out home equity, or you go into credit card debt, that way you can keep shopping and living the high lifestyle, that's good for the economy, it's good for businesses, but it's not so good for you. And what you're seeing more and more Americans say today is, I don't want to sacrifice the lifestyle that I have today. But this could lead to a rude awakening sometime in the future. Now, one thing that this article did to give you the crazy perspective of people going into debt to continue spending this high lifestyle today is they interviewed some families that are spending their money still. But before they got into that, they also talked about how the housing market is changing people's spending decisions, but not the way that you think. By the way, if you want to read this article for yourself, I will link it for you down in the description, but let me show you what it says about the housing market. It says a tough housing market has more consumers writing off something that historically saved for, while the pandemic showed the instability of any long-term plans related to health, work, or day-to-day life. So people, Americans, are spending on once-in-a-lifetime experiences because they might not be able to do it later. So we've seen housing affordability fall to some of the lowest levels we have seen in multiple decades. And you'd think that if somebody wanted to own a home, they'd be saving money to buy a home. But what this article is saying is, no, that's not what a lot of Americans are doing. Instead, a lot of Americans are saying, you know what? Life is short. So instead of me saving money to buy a home, how about I take this money and go out and spend it because, well, YOLO, life is short. And this brings me to a number of case studies that this article highlighted. And brace yourself, because this might make you a little financially, I don't know what the right word is, stressed. Case study number one is a guy named Ibi Hussein who says, so instead of saving for a down payment to buy a home like he expected after turning 30 and getting engaged, he splurged. First, he bought a $1,600 ticket to the Taylor Swift concert, and then he spent another $3,500 on a bachelor party to Ibiza, and then he says, quote, I might as well just enjoy what I have now. And this is why the thought of any sort of economic downturn is so scary, is because so many Americans, instead of trying to prepare and save themselves from a rainy day, they rather take that money and spend it on a concert. But it gets even worse. Take a look. Case study number two is Lindsay and Daryl Bradshaw, who went into credit card debt to finance a vacation to Maui this past spring. They said, quote, we did not have the money and we were like, let's just do this anyway. The trip cost around $10,000. Including 3 $1,000 last-minute plane tickets. These were last-minute plane tickets. And then 10 nights at a $385 a night 4-star resort and some elaborate meals. Is it just me, or is your blood pressure getting higher? Josh Richards says that he greatly lowered his retirement contribution to afford a cross-country trip that included a $7,000 Alaskan cruise so his family could see the ice caps which have been melting. Now, out of the grand scheme of things, I think it's less worse for you to put less money aside for retirement. That way you have money to fund a vacation as opposed to going into credit card debt to fund your vacation. But let's dig a little bit deeper. Josh says that, quote, I just hit a point where the things that we had been talking about, maybe hopefully doing at some point in the future, that we're just going to do it now. I'm not going to worry about money anymore. I don't have it in me. And this is why, according to the Wall Street Journal, for those who have been studying consumer spending, the robustness up to this point has been a surprise. Now, please listen to me here. You have to worry about money. You have to think about money because it costs money to eat and it costs money to feed other people. You might think, you know what, I'm young. I don't want to worry about money. I want to have fun. I want to do all these nice things and I want to start living my life. That's great. But the problem is, if you don't think about the money, if you don't think about the cost, if you don't think about how you're going to pay for it, you're going to spend that money today, you're going to have that fun today, and then tomorrow it's going to come and bite you in the asset. So this is where let's start thinking about money seriously. That way you understand how money works and how you can have the nice things without being the person that's going to have to pay the price in the future, because eventually these things will catch up to you. If you have a job, what happens is that you're going to work every single day to get paid. Now, when you get paid with this paycheck, some of this money is going to go in the form of taxes. You don't see that money. So this money that you receive now is your after-tax income. And what you want to do with this money is you have to start spending this money smartly. That means some of this money is going to be spent. Some of this money is going to be invested. Some of this money is going to be saved. Now, when you're doing this, you have to build a system that way you know how to actually live within your means. And what that means is if you make $1,000, you can't just spend $1,000. Because when you live like that, you will never have the opportunity to actually build any real wealth. So what you want to do is some of this money is going to be spent. This is the money you spend on your vacations, on your travel, on your home, on your food, on your car, all that stuff. Some of this money is going to be spent. You have to invest some of this money. This is your future retirement, your wealth, your financial freedom. Some of this money is going to be saved. Now, when I talk about saving, I'm not just talking about saving money for a down payment or saving money to buy a car. I'm talking about saving money for a financial emergency, for a rainy day, for if you lose your job, for if your kid breaks their arm, because the reality is sometimes life happens. And the reason why this is so important today is because we're seeing all these changes happen in the economy. You hear talking about consumer spending. Why is consumer spending such a big deal? People are talking about consumer spending is still robust. And this is what the whole Wall Street Journal article was covering, that Americans are still spending money. Why is this a big deal? Because if Americans stop spending money, then we go into a recession. If America goes into a recession, people lose their jobs, period. And what we're seeing today is that people are still spending their money. How are they spending money? They're going into the credit card debt. They're contributing less money to their retirement. They're taking the money that they would have used to buy a home, and they're going out and spending this money. But people are spending more than they're earning, which means there will be a breaking point to that. And if people keep spending more than they earn, eventually that breaking point will happen. If that breaking point happens, or when it happens rather, that means spending slows down. Spending slows down means the economy slows down. The economy slows down, that means businesses make less money. If businesses make less money, that means you can expect unemployment to go back up. If unemployment goes back up, that means people lose their jobs. If people lose their jobs, they no longer have an income to keep funding their lifestyle. And if you have no savings to protect you, if you have no assets to protect you, now you can end up on the streets, or you can end up in big financial troubles. And this is where it pays to be financially educated and aware. That way not only can you protect yourself, but you can also capitalize on opportunities and grow your wealth much faster, because the reality, this is fact. Now you can hate me for saying this, but this is reality. Economic downturns create more opportunities than anything else. There's a lot of red flags out there. And what I want you to do now is take a breather. Understand, yeah, you've been working hard, but now how can you learn how to win in this financial situation? How can you learn how to use your money smartly? And once you learn how to use your money smartly, the question is, how can you add more money into the system that way you can live a better lifestyle today? This is all what financial education is. We have a free ebook at Briefs Media that will walk you through this step by step. It's completely free. It walks you through the basics of how do you build a wealthy mindset, to how do you save your first couple $1,000s, to how do you start investing, to what are the different ways that you can invest, how do you invest for cash flow, how do you invest different ways, how do you then spend your money smartly, how do you earn more money, and how do you protect your assets. This ebook is completely free. So if you want to read this ebook, all you got to do is go to briefs.co/ebook, and I got the link for you down in the description below. Everybody wants to have the nice things, but when you start spending your money on the nice things before you have the money to do that, you're going to have to pay that money back plus interest. So if you're going into credit card debt to fund any sort of liability, if you're going into credit card debt to spend money on something that's not putting any money in your pocket, you're going to have to pay that money back plus interest. That means you're spending next year's income today to spend, and then you got to spend the next 5 years' income to pay back the thing that you had today, as opposed to working to put that money aside today that we can actually afford whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's a vacation, a car, a house. You have to be smarter with your money today. And the problem is we live in a society and in a culture where it is completely normal and accepted to go into debt, to spend money. It's completely normal to spend all of your money at Gucci. It's completely normal to just live paycheck to paycheck because that's what everybody else does. It's normal to complain about money. It's not normal to be financially educated. It's normal to complain about all your financial problems. It's not normal to make a financial sacrifice. And this is where now it starts with the mindset. You got to stop hating on success. You got to stop hating the idea of successful people, and you have to start asking, how does somebody become successful? And the first step to that is creating a financial system with your money. That means giving a job to every dollar that you earn, that we don't spend every dollar that you generate. A simple thing that you can do is follow something like a 75-15-10 plan, which says for every dollar that you earn, 75 cents is the maximum that you can spend. 15 cents is the minimum that you're investing. 10 cents is the minimum that you're saving. You can start by going out and creating 3 different bank accounts. That way now anytime you get paid, some of your money is automatically withdrawn out of your account and put into an account holding your investment money. Some of your money is automatically withdrawn and deposited into your savings money. Now you have an account where you can spend money out of, and you don't even see that other money, so you can't spend that additional money. Once you can control the spending, the next question is, how can you work to earn more money? Maybe this means work harder at your job. Maybe this means work to get a promotion. Maybe this means work to get a raise. Maybe this means get a second job. Yeah, it's hard work. You have a whole bunch of lazy people out there who say, oh, I don't want to work. And they sit there with their thumbs up their butt and talk about how I can't get anything I want in my life. If you're lazy, just leave this video right now. Or you can work to create your own side hustle, or you can work to create your own business. It is hard. Anybody who wants to sit there, complain about things, and want things handed on their lap, this is not the right channel for you. You can go and cry and somewhere else. But if you want to have real financial success, you got to be willing to put in the work. And the first work, the hard work, the real hard work, because getting the money isn't the hard part. The real hard part is the mindset part. Getting a mindset right about, I can't keep living this certain lifestyle being financially broke. See, most people get angry. They get so tired of being broke. And then you can go one of 2 routes. I'm going to go and splurge. I'm going to go into credit card debt. I'm going to spend my retirement money. I'm going to stop saving for a house. I'm going to stop doing all the right things financially so I can go out and just enjoy life. Or you say, you know what? I'm done with this living paycheck to paycheck, and I'm going to make serious changes in my life. This is the fork, and a lot of people are on this fork. And that's because people get tired of living a certain lifestyle. And that's okay. That's good. But that's where now when you make the deviation, when you decide which way to go, you want to make sure you go down the correct path. Instead of going down and saying, you know what, I'm just going to go into credit card debt. I'm going to spend my retirement money. I'm going to pull equity out of my home so I can just spend. This is solving the itch today, but creating a bigger problem tomorrow. Making the real sacrifice and making the real change is more painful today, but it's going to set you up for freedom for the rest of your life. And we can't keep getting caught up into this instant gratification. And it's hard. I know. It's not easy. But it is possible. I call it a decade of sacrifice. A decade of sacrifice means you're going to put in the work for a decade to spend less and earn more and invest like crazy. I know a decade is a long time, but that decade of sacrifice can set you up for a lifetime of freedom, maybe even generations of financial freedom, if you're willing to put in that work. And if you understand the process, it's not that big of a sacrifice because then you understand the game. It's a game. You can have more fun learning how to live below your means. And I know you're going to think, Jaspreet, what the heck are you talking about? How is it fun to live below my means? Well, because you make it into a game and you understand why you're doing it. And then you start to see the cash flow coming in from your dividends. You start to see the cash flow coming in from your other investments. And now you can start to see the potentials. And then next time you book a vacation, it's not money that's coming out of your credit card debt. Maybe it's not even money that's coming out of your savings account. Maybe it's being funded by your dividends. Now all of a sudden it's a completely different trip when it's money you didn't have to actually work to earn. It's the money that your money worked to earn. And yes, it is possible, but it takes time. And then as you start to do that, again, there are so many ways to earn more money. But most people start to worry about how can I earn more money before they even figure out how they can spend their money smartly. There's 2 parts to this machine. One is how do you use your money smartly. One is how do you get your money smartly. And you have to start by knowing how do you spend your money smartly. And if you just keep living this lifestyle during a time where the economy is changing, inflation hasn't gone away, interest rates don't look like they're falling anytime soon, we have slowdowns in the economy happening, well, what do you think is going to happen if people now max out their credit cards? They can't keep pulling money out of their 401ks. They're starting to see their home equity start to fall. If that spending starts to slow and you see a slowdown in the economy and I have all these debts and then your company starts to struggle and you get laid off, then what? And it's easy to live in a world where you think nothing bad will ever go wrong, but eventually things will go wrong. Nothing can go straight up forever. And I don't say this video to make you angry or to create panic. I say this video to get you to think about what you're doing, because when you live for today, well, you have a very short mindset. Eventually tomorrow will come. And you don't want to be the person that's now kicking themselves because you regret what you did the day before. Think a little bit further, and that's going to allow you to set not just yourself up, but your kids up, maybe even your grandkids up for a lifetime of financial freedom. And it starts not with what you do in your bank account. It starts not with your job, but it starts with what's in here. Because if you can change the way you think, it's going to change the way you use your money. And once you change the way that you use your money, you're going to understand the financial system. Once you understand the financial system, all you need to do is add more fuel to the fire, add some more money to the fire, and that's the fun part. And you have to start by changing the way that you look at money. Our economic system keeps some people rich at the expense of everybody else. Now, this might sound mean, but that's exactly what our economic system was designed to do. Now, there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is if you don't understand this, if you don't understand the economic system, if you don't understand how money works, you are going to be the person that's paying the price